Right. So, we've all seen these headlines, right, about all this military activity going on in the Middle East. And, whenever I see that kind of stuff, I always got to figure out what's really going on. So for this deep dive, we're going to focus on one development in particular. And I think it's a pretty big one, the deployment of A-10 attack aircraft.
Yeah.
We're talking Warthogs here. And we're going to dig into this really fascinating YouTube transcript from American Tactical Fighter to sort of figure out, why are these particular planes, what are they doing there? What does this all mean? So,
yeah, this is really interesting stuff. I mean, the scale of it, first of all, is what really sort of struck me. Over 30 A-10s.
wow.
From the Idaho Air National Guard's 124th Fighter Wing, deployed to Southwest Asia within U.S. Central Command's area of responsibility.
Okay.
And this happened on March 29th. So that's a lot of planes. That's a lot of planes. It's a big logistical undertaking right there.
Yeah. And, it's really interesting because just 2 days before that, we saw that, the Air Force confirmed that B-2 stealth bombers had landed on Diego Garcia.
Right.
Which, that puts them within striking distance of Yemen.
Exactly.
And the transcript even mentions that.
Yeah.
So it really feels like these two things are very closely connected.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, if you think about the timing there, and also earlier in March, officials had kind of indicated that more aircraft were expected in the Middle East. And they specifically mentioned this in response to the Houthis.
Right.
So all this is, happening against this backdrop of really heightened tensions ever since that attack on Israel back in October 2022.
Yeah, absolutely. And, this isn't the first time we've seen A-10s in the Middle East.
No, not at all.
I mean, the transcript mentions a bunch of past deployments, March 2023. October 2024, there was one alongside F-16s and F-15Es.
Right, whole mix.
Yeah. 2020, Operation Freedom Sentinel, they were there. And even back in 2016 for Operation Inherent Resolve.
Yeah, they've seen a lot of action in that region.
Absolutely. And, I mean, it even mentions an instance from November of last year when an A-10 actually struck militants who were getting ready to fire rockets at an American position.
Wow, so they're actively engaged.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it begs the question, why the A-10 specifically? What's so special about these planes?
Well, it comes down to what they were built for, and the transcript really emphasizes this. It's all about close air support. So basically, that means directly supporting troops on the ground, providing air power when they're in a fight with the enemy. And they're designed specifically to maneuver at low speeds and low altitudes.
Get in there, get up close.
Exactly, to be effective in those situations.
And I mean, they're famous for that cannon, right? That GAAU-8 Avenger 30-millimeter cannon.
Oh, yeah, that's the iconic part of the A-10.
I mean, the transcript says this thing can destroy heavy armor. We're talking tanks.
Oh, yeah.
Firing something like almost 4,000 rounds a minute.
It's a beast.
It's insane.
That's a lot of firepower.
Yeah. And they have armor-piercing rounds, which are, made to take out, really heavily armored vehicles.
It's specifically designed for that.
Yeah. But it's not all about just, brute force firepower.
Nah.
I mean, this thing is built to take a punch. The transcript mentions that it has heavy titanium armor, protecting the pilot and all the critical systems from small arms, fire, and even some surface-to-air missiles.
Yeah, survivability is a key factor there.
Absolutely. It's got to be able to get in and get out.
Exactly. You want your pilots to be safe.
And, it's interesting because the A-10 has really earned this reputation, right? The transcript even mentions it's considered like a savior by troops on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
And, adversaries really fear it.
It has quite the track record.
It does. It's been in conflicts like the Gulf War. And it's proven itself to be incredibly effective in that close air support role.
Yeah, it's a game changer on the battlefield.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But here's where things get a little bit strange.
Yeah.
Okay. So despite this deployment and, all this proven capability, the transcript reveals that the A-10 fleet is actually scheduled to start retiring next fall.
Really? So they're sending them out there knowing that they're on their way out.
That's right. And get this, the 124th Fighter Wing.
Yeah.
The pilots and planes that are currently deployed.
Right.
They're slated to transition to F-16 fighters starting in spring 2027.
Huh. So we're looking at a shift in strategy here.
Yeah, so, I mean, strategically speaking, this is really fascinating. You're deploying all these A-10s, knowing full well that their retirement is coming up pretty soon.
It does make you wonder if there's something specific they need to address right now.
Right. It seems like there must be a really specific need for their capabilities for that close air support role in this current situation.
You don't just deploy a fleet of aircraft like that without a very good reason.
Exactly. So let's kind of recap here for everyone. We've got a huge deployment of these highly specialized ground attack aircraft.
Purpose-built for that role.
Yeah, going into an area with a lot of tension, following other significant military movements.
Right, it's all connected.
Yeah, and this is an aircraft with a long history of supporting ground troops incredibly effectively.
And that cannon, right? We can't forget about that.
Oh yeah, that cannon is legendary. And the heavy armor really makes this aircraft unique and, respected in military operations.
For decades, it's been a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. So what should we all take away from this deep dive? I want you to consider what it means to deploy an aircraft that is specifically designed for close air support and tank destruction in this very particular context in the Middle East right now.
Especially given the current tensions, yeah.
Exactly. And knowing that the A-10 is going to be retired soon, what does that tell us about how these types of missions are going to be handled in the future?
That's a great question. Something to think about for sure.
It definitely makes you wonder what the future holds.
Indeed it does.
All right. Well, that's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
We'll see you next time.